Hello, everyone. Greetings from Bali. I'd like to welcome you again to Right Here, Right Now Global Youth Climate Summits 2026. My name is Shauni Charmana from Bali, Indonesia, and I'd like to say thank you first to University of Oxford, Side Business School, UN Human Rights for allowing me to share a little about my passion project. And hopefully, after my presentation, it can spark a little bit of inner drive or inspiration for you all. I can see you all in my head, okay? So, I'm from an island called Bali. Chances are you've heard about it. You've maybe heard about the beautiful rice field, the warm local people, the vibrant culture, the temples, and so on. Bali was actually once celebrated and appreciated for these things. But unfortunately, now it's known for luxury hotels, high end boutiques, wild nightlife, and cheap food made for the tourist eyes. To give you a little number, Bali attracts a whopping around 6 million people per year. International visitors, 6 million people. Tourism is something that we have depended on over years, decades, economically, in our everyday life, traditions, culture, ambitions, and even the future. So, let me tell you a little bit of our history on how tourism in Bali began. Tourism in Bali began in 1920s under the Dutch colonial rule. They marketed Bali as an exotic escape. Sacred temples, terraced rice fields, and even bare-chested Balinese women. They would photograph this and advertise this to be a paradise on earth. After independence in 1945, the Indonesian government recognized the economic potential of tourism in Bali. So, the president built more and more hotels to support the influx. But this made the locals worry. They feared their culture, their essentials, would be lost. And today, many of those concerns are becoming more and more visible. This phenomena of over tourism does not just happen in Bali. Places like Barcelona, as you can see here, Greece, Thailand, and so many other places. So the question is, what are the existing solutions that we already have, that people have already talked about, applied? In Bali, for example, to balance things, the government found a solution: cultural tourism. As you can see the definition here, it was introduced to an effort to preserve heritage while embracing visitors. They understood that Bali's music, dance, art was a heritage that they needed to be preserved, but they also wanted to monetize that. But let me ask you something. Is it working? If you read the news today, do you think this is working? I mean, today we have a long list of tourism solutions. You've got ecotourism here, sustainable tourism, green tourism, soft tourism. If you want, you can search up in your own time, see the definition of each of those type of tourism. These are all created, all with the goal of creating more positive impact. But they often exist in name only. Take hotels, for example, putting up a card asking guests to reuse their towels to be greener, offering paper straws, donating once a year to a local orphanage, and calling it CSR, corporate social responsibility. This is not a change to sustainability. This is greenwashing. What we truly need is a shift, not just in policy, but in mindset, in the paradigms in which we exist. Tourism affects all part of climate, which is one of the reasons why we came here to talk today. Which tourism affects all part of climate, and it's so worrying that many people overlook this. This is what we call extractive tourism, when we take more than what the people or the place or the culture can give us. I know you've heard of this, of course. A living system. I know it's a little blocked. A living system is any system, biological, social, or ecological, that is self organizing, adaptive, and usually sustained by the flow of energy and information. It's made out of different interdependent parts that work together and support the whole. So, in the context of tourism, that system is made out of the people, places, culture. For example, it functions like a forest. You can try to imagine it's like a forest. When one tree is cut down, it doesn't just disappear suddenly in isolation. The soil dries out, nearby roots lose protection, animals move away, and the balance shift. So let me walk you through what those components of tourism are going through right now. Loss of land. This picture down here is already devastating to me. I mean, an article in 2022 by Bali Provincial Department of Agriculture and Food Security estimated that 600 hectares of land has been converted into tourism related infrastructure every year, annually. Today, that number has skyrocketed to 1,000 hectares every year. I know I'm smiling right now, but it's really, really saddening to me. Next, water crisis. Water has not always been a stable source in Bali. Some areas, as you can see here in the lighter red and the red, is still experienced or exposed to water scarcity. And to add on this existing issue, hotels, resorts are known to be using Bali's water supply more than the others. The Bali chapter of the Indonesian Forum for the Environment estimate that the hotel sector consumes 56% of Bali's total water supply. To keep in mind, all the hotels are all centered in the south part of Bali. Can you see that down there? Just there. What happens to the rest of Bali? The rest, why Bali? The third aspect is cultural dilution. Sacred ceremonies, dances are often commercialized for entertainment, while temples are crowded with tourists who may unknowingly or knowingly disrespect local custom. Many Balinese have shifted from traditional roles to tourism jobs, creating a generational disconnect from cultural roots and traditions. As you can see here, out of the 361,000 farmers on the island, only around 15% of them are the youth, 19 years old onwards. Economic leakage. The harsh reality of tourism industry in Bali is that many locals community are not benefiting from tourism as much as they should. Most tourist related businesses are foreign owned, which can result in economic leakage. A study taking samples from only 79 hotels in Bali has shown a 51% leakage in the 4 to 5 star rated chain hotels. I'd like to share that finding all of these numbers that I've shown you just now were very difficult to get. Media coverage, journals, research on this was not as much as I expected to be. To know that this problem have been happening for the last few decades, there has not been many research on this, furthermore, action on this, which led me to research on my own, search on my own, not through papers and other journals, but real people, because real people or real issues affect real people. I'd like to introduce you, sorry, my head is covering that. So I'd like to introduce you to Ibu Anik. Ibu Anik is from Kalajong, a beautiful coastal village surrounded by rice paddies. as you can see here. It's a village that used to depend on agriculture, and 30% of the population were fishermen. Ibu Anik spent her childhood growing up here, running around the beaches, running around through the rice fields. This was her home. By 1998, the year Ibu Anik left her village, it was estimated around 40% of the village land had been taken by the investors, foreign investors. In 2012, 80% of the land in her village had already been bought by investors. This included land for farming and riverbanks. Those lands are then turned into private villas and private resorts. Locals can't even access most of the beach anymore. Fishermen are pushed away to stop doing their job and do tourism-related jobs. Except for one tiny part. Over here is actually the last access for locals to visit the beach. And this is because a single man refused to sell his land just so that the community could still reach the sea. He denies billions of Indonesian rupiah worth of money just so that people like Ibu Anik, when she was a kid, could play around the beach. This was just one example. There are many real stories with real communities struggling even far more than this. But this is already deeply saddening for me to see, as someone who grew up in a village myself. So why did this issue speak to me? Here's little Shawnee. It's because I'm Balinese. I'm young, I'm the youth, I'm the next generation, you can say. And I'm worried. Will my children, will the next generation of my people get to see clear ocean water, safe drinking water, have their own land? Will I be able to keep my family's long traditions going? This is why, during my last year in Green School Bali, I started a project around this issue where I offered a new vision of tourism through regenerative tourism. I know you're like, what is regenerative tourism? Regenerative tourism is about creating travel experience that restore and regenerate the environment and the communities. But it's not just about minimizing harm. It's leaving the place better than it was before. Anna Pollock, a pioneering leader in the field of regenerative tourism, said regeneration is based on how living system works, not how machines work. She later explains that regeneration takes tourism from a different perspective, not how this place can do for tourism, but what can tourism do for this place to contribute to the health and well-being of the country and its citizens? So my first step tackling this issue was to understand this topic more deeply and raise awareness. Everyone has the ability to do this first. I started a social media account to share my research journey and named it Bali for Bumi, which translates to Bali for Earth, because there's only one Earth and one Bali. I also reached out to many Balinese changemakers, experts in their field who believe in the future of regeneratism and even already started taking actions on that. So we've got a woman. She is a super strong woman, Ibu Anissa, who was a country manager of a waste management, fighting destructive plastic to invade our water supplies, our abrasion, and so on. Then we have Kak Gede over here, down here, who is a young person himself, a youth himself, who started his own regenerative tourism related businesses. Ibu Kanya, who's delved in the education sector, providing scholarship for agricultural students so that they could keep applying informations, applying new technologies to keep the agricultural side of Bali preserved. Then we've got Professor Surya Dharma, which is just an incredible figure. He's been doing research and sharing awareness about tourism and the destruction. He's an ethnoecology professor. And I interviewed many more. And from these interviews, I created a documentary so that people can use this as a future resource. The second step was reaching out. A pattern I noticed during speaking to all of these people, they said the first step, or the most important step even, was how important education is. Last year, I had the opportunity to co-teach a middle school called The Good, the Bad, and the Tourism. Through this class, the students explored the benefits and challenges of tourism, analyzing real-world events as case studies, and learning directly from local experts as we visited different organizations and initiatives such as a dolphin conservation center and a waste management center as well. I also organized a symposium inviting business owners who are practicing regenerative tourism values. This was a chance for a wider audience to be engaged and understand this topic based on real life experience, not just theory. I was also invited to speak at the Asia Pacific Summit for event leaders, where I shared my project with a crowd of tourism experts, professors, innovators, CEOs, university students, and more. I also had the opportunity to learn about the current tourism situation from other speakers, which just made me realize even more that this change is needed more than ever. This is a youth conference where, again, I also shared my project, listened to what the youth are, worried about. And this gave them advice. We interchanged ideas on how we can move forward as the Balinese youth, as upcoming farmers, working in social organizations, and many more. Through this project, I got to know and hear about so many inspiring initiatives, organizations, and businesses. I wanted everyone to know about these incredible existing businesses. They're truly making a positive impact and creating value. So I created a directory book. It's called Bali Beyond Crowns. I personally interviewed the founders and their teams. I did research to truly understand what they are doing. So not greenwashing anymore. This book also includes all the history of what tourism is, because to understand a problem, you need to know two things: the history and also real-based experiences. All of the businesses featured here are locally owned and operated. I even created a list of criteria identifying regenerative businesses using the Trihita Karana as a foundation, a traditional Balinese philosophy that comes from the word three ways to harmony. It teaches that balance and fulfilling life comes from living in harmony with God, people, and nature. So here are the 5 criteria I built around the Trihita Karani. Place-based thinking. Does it appreciate the ecosystem, tradition? Do we actively collaborate with local people and utilize the local knowledge there for the better? Environmental regeneration. It's in the name itself. Are we going beyond just minimizing harm, less harm, but actively restoring the nature, using circular systems, composting, renewable energy, and so on. Community empowerment is also included later on. This was my first draft, actually, where local communities are not just laborers, they're leaders. They own majority local ownership, or even all of it. Revenues are reinvested into local priorities like other initiatives, education, health, or art. Cultural endorsement. Are we creating real experiences, not just made for the tourist's eye? Are we really helping preserve these endangered rituals and craft? Or is it just for show? Is it just for appropriation? Is it appreciation? And the last one was, is it the design of it? Is it designed for feedback? Is it designed to be adaptive? Because every day we're continuously facing more and more problem. We need to grow adaptive to it and not just be stuck in one set design. This year, I still continue teaching classes in grade school and even mentoring a few students who are continuing this topic for their project. I've learned that creating systematic change through policy is not always easy. But rather than discouraging me, it has actually strengthened my motivation to continue raising awareness and building solutions through community initiatives, community engagements, and youth action. While large-scale system policy change can take a long time, it is true. I think we need to acknowledge that. I believe our community, young people, still have the power to lead by example. That belief is what inspired my family and me to start a culture destination in our village in Tabanan, where we place culture, community, and nature at the center of everything we do, creating a model for what regenerative tourism is, or what can it look like. I know my work still has a long way to go, but I call this my lifetime work. I'm proud of what I've done so far. I've had people come up to me and say, they didn't know this was a problem. I didn't know this was a big problem, or that they didn't even know what to do. If my project can change one person's mindset or spark a sense of urgency to do something, I've already achieved something. So I want you to keep this in mind, that I know a lot of you, when you are facing an issue or trying to tackle an issue, you're probably losing hope more as you do research. You realize how difficult this is, and it can feel like your action cannot make a difference in this massive pile of damage that has been done over the decades. That's how I felt when I started this project. So to all the youth watching, or anyone who's going to start taking action, do not worry. Everyone experienced it. Everyone experienced this stage of imposter syndrome, and you really need to know that you are making a difference. You are. By taking action, it is such a brave step already. I'd like to share a little bit of what my mentor said to me. He said that this year, for my project, we might only have one person working on regenerative tourism, but the next year there'll be one, there'll be two, there'll be three, there'll be 8, 16, and so on, and it keeps doubling. And that happened from one person, me, who started this project. I'm so happy to share that we've had 6 people or 5 people do this project around this topic, do a project around this topic. This is what matters, guys. So education, awareness is so important. What matters for you all is to just start. Do not think about a perfect result or solution. Just start. So how can others support this? How can you support this? The next time you're traveling, the next time you're traveling, I want you to think why you're doing this, why you're traveling. How does your travel benefit people or the place in any way? I want you to think of that. And one more thing is that this whole problem didn't just take one person to damage it. So it will take all of us to join in. So I hope that the government, the youth, business owners, educators, travelers will join in and create a change. Matur suksema sekali, or the Balinese way of saying thank you. Thank you to everyone who is listening. And you can also see my Instagram here. Scan it right now to see what my updates are, what I'm working on so far, or to see more research on my page. Thank you so much once again. Matur suksema. Bye bye.